What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences. And more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends. Join us tonight because we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I'm Ryan Dembroski, and this is SuperAero Live. What is up, AvGeek, nerds, Sky Fam, SuperAero, Squadron? I should probably come up with like a fourth thing to call you guys. It's Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. Ooh, that was probably hot on the mic. SuperAero Live tonight. Really excited to talk to you guys about aviation nerd stuff. And our guest tonight, I'm super pumped to have him on. Well, let's just dig into it right away. First of all, check out last week's episode. Super awesome. And be sure to hang around for next week's episode. Experimental Aircraft Channel is going to be on. So you're getting experimentals tonight. You're getting experimentals next week. And then the week after that, a Builders Roundtable for experimentals. So I hope you like experimentals because it's going to get experimental in the basement. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, the esteemed Our Lord and Savior Flight Chops did a really nice thing. And he promoted this channel. Some of you might be new audience members of this channel. And he said, here are some channels that you might not have heard of that I'm really into right now. And I was one of them, and I was super honored to be that. And I thought it'd be good to show you guys kind of the top 3 channels that I'm really pumped about right now. And so first of all, we'll start with one. Most of these people are guests of the show. There's SoCal Flying Monkey. This episode over here, that's really hard to do. Over here is one that like literally had me in tears watching him use his aircraft to get his family to go paragliding, and he had all these dad feels, and it was amazing. You got to go subscribe to his channel. He also actually flies an airplane. One of his most recent episodes, he had a cargo door open, baggage door open on his Cherokee 6, and it was slightly dramatic. And he shared that with all of us, which is really cool. So go check him out. That's one. The other one, another guy who's been on the show a few times, which I think some people don't know of, is this guy doing his own maintenance there under his Grumman. Brian Turner, Just Plain Silly. You got to check him out. I watch all his stuff. Makes me laugh. I was talking to him on the phone today, and he was making me laugh like the whole time. So go check him out. He's worth it. But here's the channel that nobody knows about. It's the top secret channel. It's the best channel ever on the internet right now. It's what I literally make sure not to miss. I'm actually I'll be honest, I'm a few episodes behind. But these two, Tango and Juliet, are on the show tonight, everybody. Check them out.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you guys?
Oh man, we're just living the dream as usual. Yeah.
I love how you are broadcasting live from a hover.
I know. This takes a lot of skill and practice, but once it's mastered, it's extremely impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And also the audio is really good from, what is that, a couple thousand feet, looks like?
Yeah.
Open cockpit.
Yeah, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Bose, for noise canceling microphone. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't even know how I found your channel. I don't know if like you guys said hi on Instagram and I was like, oh, what's this? I'll check it out. But I just, before we get too into it, I'm gonna gush a little bit. Like, you guys are so funny. You're so fun. Like the joy of aviation that you have, like the way you are using it to adventure all over the place is amazing. I thought maybe before we get into our discussion, you guys sent me some clips. If I could play a clip real quick so people can kind of just see what you guys are all about. This is a clip from, I actually don't know which one, but you can tell us about it afterwards. Let's play it real quick. Oh, work the buttons, Ryan. Work the buttons.
dive down into.
Oh, cool!
I'm gonna break off to the left here.
That's amazing!
Gosh, the
So
Teletubby goggles.
I love that. That's just you guys having fun. I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm just so excited to learn about your story. So maybe what's kind of a standard thing on the show is we start with like, what was the flying journey? How did you get into aviation? Maybe we start there, and then I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think I got my clips flipped around. There's one that's hilarious. We'll save that one for after. But
I can only imagine which one that is. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, I guess-
so
yeah,
introduce
yeah.
yourselves. I've been doing too much talking. Who are you guys?
So I am Tango, and
I'm Juliet.
this is Juliet,
Yeah.
and we're a flying couple. I do the flying, and she does the amazing cinematography.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been like a passion project for us for a long time. The channel has, but it's only recently that we decided we need to get super serious about it.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, do you want to hear how I came into flying and how this whole passion developed?
Yeah, I mean, let's go way back. Take us way back
Okay.
in the Tango
Okay.
Tango time machine.
In the Tango time machine. So I've always been interested in flying since I was a little kid. I mean, especially classic vintage airplanes and biplanes, World War II stuff. I never really saw it as something I could actually do, though. You know, there wasn't an airport near our house, or, you know, there was no way for me to really access it as a kid. So it wasn't until later in life I realized, oh, maybe this is something that I could do. The issue with me was it was something I felt like, well, I don't think we can afford this. And so it kind of languished for a very long time. So strangely enough, my career brought me back into flying. So I'm a musician by trade. And we got a call, my group. Sorry, excuse me, I got something in my throat. We got a call to play this event in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Oh my God, Juliet disappeared. Okay, she's back.
Oh my gosh, she's back. So we got a call to play this private event. They said we're having this private event. It's on the grounds of this little air show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm like, okay, great. They said, we're going to get your band. We're going to fly them out there. You're going to play this event. We're going to be there for 4 days, something like that. Now, what I didn't know was this little air show was AirVenture. So I was totally unawares of this whole thing until we showed up. And basically, they handed us the keys to the room and said, okay, we'll see you at the air show. So we show up, and I'm on the grounds of Oshkosh AirVenture. And not only
That's
that,
huge.
I've got free reign to wander around there for a couple days. So the whole time, I'm meeting people in aviation. Obviously, I'm seeing all these amazing airplanes and stuff like that. And it was just like this bell went off in my head. It's like, oh, maybe I can do this. So I came home to Juliet from that trip. I was totally amped up. And I said, I'm so amped up about this, and I still don't know if we can afford it, but what do you think? And I'll never forget, she said, if you don't do this now, you're probably going to regret it for the rest of your life. So it was off to the races from there.
Well, thank you for doing, because I think not everyone is so. A lot of people are like, this is insane. You are insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does seem a little insane, yeah.
Like, that's insane.
And that's
Don't
the
do
weird thing
that.
to me is that
Yeah.
is that I think when you talk to a lot of people, they're like, well, that's crazy. Why would you do that? And that's kind of one of the things about our channel, I think, is that we want to bring more people into the fold of aviation and say, this is something you can do. It's not crazy. This is something that's totally attainable. Yeah. So that's how it all began anyway.
And then you've been a musician for, gosh, I mean, ever since he was in high school. He started like a little garage band, and then it just exploded from there. But then when he decided to shift into aviation, it was just a lot of our friends were like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You have this going on. Like, why would you even go that route? And it's like, because it's awesome. Like,
and I think the passion from that perspective, it really helped me find the way to make it attainable, if that makes sense. Because we're not rich, and I think that kind of comes out. We discuss this on our channel a lot. But there are ways for people to be able to do this, and you don't have to be a rich person. You don't have to be a billionaire with a jet.
I mean, it helps.
To be able to enjoy. Yeah, I mean, it does help a little bit. Yeah. So, and that kind of led into the ownership journey, but I don't know if we want to get into that quite yet.
I mean, I just want to respond to a couple of things you said there. I mean, I think that is what drew me to your channel is, well, one, tail draggers and vintage tail draggers. Like, that's kind of caught my eye at first. But then that shared, I think we have a similar mission, right? I mean, I'm literally broadcasting from my basement, right? Like, aviation can be accessible, right? And, you know, we've got people who watch this show who have, you know, real, like, big general aviation aircraft, you know, Cherokee 6s and Cirruses and stuff, and that's all super cool. That is maybe someday for me, right? I don't know. But for me right now, it's things like flying clubs, and, you know, they always make fun of me because I mentioned every episode, did my training in a J3, right? Like vintage aircraft 101, right? Like, there are all these ways to tap in to make it more accessible. And I think what's cool about you guys, guy and gal, is that you have, one, the passion, but two, you're communicating the fact that it's possible, even if you aren't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, and the stuff you're doing in your aircraft, if I can maybe tease a little bit, is like the adventures you're having in this very realistic, you know, mighty Pietenpol. Maybe we should move to there, like what you guys fly, like
mighty.
The mighty.
Like, you know, I mean,
It's pretty mighty.
Yeah, I'll say.
So maybe what we should do is let me show. Well, we saw it in the first video. Do you want to talk about what you're flying now? Because that's also, I mean, it's pretty unique, right? Like, it's pretty unique.
And it always gets people stopping to ask, what the heck is this, right? The Pietenpol is like, it's basically a home-built aircraft that was designed in the 1920s. So it was, it was something that basically anybody could build in their garage. So it was the whole embodiment of the idea that, oh man, we're going to make aviation accessible to everybody. So,
and that was like the thing, I think, back in the day. It's like aviation was more accessible, because now when you go to an airport, it's usually like barricaded with a fence, you know, and like back in the day, people just, you know, stroll up and talk to the pilot and go for a ride. And I think that's the other part of what we're trying to inspire people, is like, it is accessible, even though there's gates now, you know, just the community in general, you know, I think.
And I think the plane does build that community, because it's something that people automatically are drawn to because it's so unique.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to, while you talk, because I've thought a lot about building a Pete, because you can still get plans. It seems a little hardcore. Wait.
Even when you're flying it, you won't be done building it.
Yeah, you guys have been working on it. I'm trying to find some. You can get, EA is not a sponsor, but you guys probably have these. It's probably mandatory. Wait, which way? There we go.
Yeah.
Like,
There we go.
you can order these on the EA website, not a sponsor. And there are, I think, 4 of them? And in 4 of them, there's all these amazing aircraft that are probably death traps. But there's, like, this thing, like, wait, what hand is which? Oh, my goodness. This thing, like, what is that? That thing's amazing. God. But I think this is a Pete right here, right? Like, so there are plans in these books, like, from this was 1933. Like, there are plans in here. Like, you could literally, apparently, and I don't know if anyone's actually done it, you could buy this and, like, build the plane that you guys are flying. Well, a version of the plane you guys are flying.
That was originally our intent.
Yeah. And that kind of goes to the story of this airplane, too.
Yeah.
This is the actual Pete plans. Sorry. Go ahead. You bought it as a project.
Oh, man.
We bought ours as a project after I had already started building one. And this one came up for sale by a guy who'd only flown it for about 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And he was 93 years old, and he wasn't going to be flying open cockpit anymore. So it was just basically giving the airplane away for a song.
I know.
Did you literally
Hal Davis. Yeah,
his name was Hal Davis?
Yeah, his name was Hal Davis.
Is like the Hal Davis?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because that's like the musician Hal. Isn't there like a? Am I thinking?
I think this was a different one.
No.
Pretty sure.
Did you literally just play him a song and he gave you the plane?
I wish it was that simple. But that makes a more convincing story. So.
Yeah.
I want to. People in the chat think this is really cool. First of all, for your little when you went off screen for a second, Gary Smith says you're a wing walker. Zachary wants to know if you're just recalibrating the compass card.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Or adjusting the throttle.
It takes a lot of skill and dexterity.
So, and then the other thing is people are wondering, they're encouraging me to build a Pete. So I guess you guys will have to rub off on me tonight. But, we didn't even talk about this. I just got so excited to have you here. Like, we didn't even talk about, like, where are you guys from? Like, Waukesha pilot, you can tell where he's from. It's in his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're based in sunny Southern California, where it never rains and there's never a cloud in the sky. And the weather's always perfect.
Except for like a week ago.
Except for whenever we want to go on a trip.
Yeah.
and when it's on fire.
And when it's on fire.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
There's that.
Or earthquakes. Hasn't been an earthquake in a little while.
No, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah, see, Gary picked up on my joke too. Good thing you're a musician if you sold it for a song.
Ah, see, there you go.
So then Juliet, talk to me about, this is like, so he goes to Oshkosh, he comes back and he says, I gotta do this. You say, absolutely, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
Then was your reaction, like, I'm imagining my wife's reaction to, like, all right, here's an open cockpit airplane. Like, were you always on board with, like, hey, however we can get this done, get it done? Or what was that process for you?
Well, when he originally wanted to build it, I thought, okay, that's fine. Let's do this. And he actually went all the way to, where was it, San Jose or something? He rented a U-Haul.
Oh, I found the wood.
Jumped it and found pieces of wood.
Some guy was selling the wood on Barnstormers up in about 12 hours away.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. So he had that, and then I was like, okay, so we're going to build the plane. And then he met Hal, who has sold us the Pete now, and he was like, let's just do it. I saved all my pennies. Let's just purchase this plane and make it our own. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it. And I mean, I've always been a lover of like all things vintage, and just the grassroots part of the aviation world is amazing to me, just because of how we went from not flying to flying,
Yeah.
Even the history of it is always fascinating to me as well. So when he said, "Oh, we're having an open cockpit airplane," I went, "Where's my scarf?"
Now, what's little known is she had to wait 2 years for her first ride in it.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue. So
it needed some adjustments.
Yes.
And that went all the way as far as a new engine, new wiring, new panel, yada yada. And also, the original builder had only flown it for 2 hours, as you may remember. So that means it had to have another 38 hours flown off of it before.
Oh, sure.
And it had a different engine on it too, which was very interesting.
A different engine debacle, yada yada. So she is very long suffering in terms of, wow, we bought an airplane. Maybe I'll get to ride in it in about 2 years from now. That'd be nice, huh? So
it was worth the wait.
It was.
So I mean, I think, and I love the passion there in terms of like, there's something about vintage aviation. I mean, I've been espousing its virtue. Is that even a word? I've been preaching. I don't know where I'm at tonight. Let's just run. Let's roll with it. I've been talking a lot about how vintage is like it's the hidden gem of aviation in terms of, you know, people think they go and they learn to fly in a 172 or something, and that's awesome. I'm a partner at 172 now. That's they feel like that's the basement, right? And then the truth is, I was just looking at it today, right? Like there's a champ on Barnstormers. It's like, you know, a little over 20 grand. The flying group I have, there's a Piper Colt that we found that looks like pristine for like $17,000, which is, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money, but it's less than my neighbor spent on her Harley. And it's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, if you're going to have a thing, like, that's a attainable amount for anyone to, like, if you really focus in on it.
That's a huge advantage to vintage aviation, is that the equipment is just more affordable to own. It's more affordable to operate, 100%. I think people get spooked because they're generally all tailwheel airplanes, you know. But I think there's just a lot of mystique and fear surrounding the tailwheel thing,
and especially with experimental, because you know, if you're going to build it from the ground up, it's like you can do it in chunks and you don't have to feel overwhelmed like that you're taking on this huge giant payment.
That was a huge sell to my spouse, was like, we don't even have to go plunk down $20,000. I said, I'm going to spend $100 this month and build some ribs or whatever. So
I
there's
think
ways
that's
into it. And people, this isn't like publicized. People, like you said, they see, here's the 172 I rent, and that's got to be it, because that's what I started in, right? I mean, there are other avenues out there.
Yeah.
It's one of the better hobbies to spend money on.
Whoa,
we
need
my
to.
opinion.
That is amazing.
This is good. Yeah.
This is really good. Yeah, I mean,
for gentlemen, there could be other things that gentlemen like to do.
Well,
so you know what I mean.
I think, and then I think there's also this, what you said about, now, granted, like, we've talked, and we're going to talk about this in a couple weeks on the show. I've got a bunch of, like, a builder's round table, and not surprisingly, all of them are building RVs. That's a very different kind of home building. That is probably the home building that I would feel comfortable doing, right? Where it's like more of like a kit and you're assembling it, versus like a Pietenpol, which is like scratch built. Like you're literally like, exactly. Like you're like welding, maybe you're cutting specific chunks of wood out and fitting them and things. But the flip side of that is, and I think that is like what you just said, what about it being like smaller chunks, like you can budget, you can put in, you know, I was looking at it, like literally you aren't exaggerating, like $100 for a chunk of wood, work on it for a little bit, now I'm ready for the next chunk of wood. So I think that's pretty exciting. Some questions.
That's a great way to build skills.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead. No, I'm gonna go ahead. You go ahead. Okay.
We have a lot of wood.
Yeah, that's true.
We got to build other stuff with
the
it
hangar
now.
is a mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna donate it. There's a school that we've offered it to.
Oh, they're building a
that
Pietenpol.
they're building a Pete, so
Oh,
we're gonna
cool.
donate
They're
the
gonna
materials
come
to
pick up the
them.
wood that we ended up not using, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And that's nice of you guys
Yeah.
to do that. Red Baron Modeling wants to know, what engine did it have before?
This is always like, this is a hot button issue because it had a Corvair engine,
Oh,
which is
yeah, I've read
it's
about
very
that.
popular in the home building community. It's from a Chevrolet Corvair from the 60s. It's a flat six. It put me in too many binds while I was testing it. And I didn't have a lot of local support. She's giggling.
Wait, we got
I
to
didn't
dig
have a lot
into
of
that a little
locals.
bit. Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
Just let's call them pucker moments.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Every pilot knows about those. So I didn't have a lot of local knowledge or resources to help continue messing with the Corvair engine. I really had knowledge of Continentals, and I had an A&P friend who was going to help me get a Continental running. So we said we're going to put a Continental 0200 on it, and it's been bulletproof ever since.
Yeah.
And I'm not down talking guys who use Corvairs. I have a friend with a Pietenpol, has a Corvair, and he loves it. So it's really up to the builder, but it also comes down to like, okay, I need to get intimately acquainted with this airplane, and what do I know and feel the most comfortable about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's ironic how, oh, sorry.
No, you go. You
go
go.
No, I was just thinking that it's funny how we were going to build the Pete, and then we ended up purchasing one, but then this
We basically
wonderful
rebuilt
one, we basically rebuilt
almost the
it.
entire airplane over the span of 2 years. Yeah.
But it's taught you a lot of skills, and I think that's one of the other takeaways from this. Is
Yeah.
like being able to learn things that you've never learned before, like welding and woodworking and that
or
kind
fabricating drag wires.
of thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So at the end, it was down for annual for about 6 months because it has the guy put a Taylorcraft wing on it. And some of the drag wires came stripped out. So I had to figure out how to fabricate new drag wires, which is a whole new experience. So thanks, YouTube.
He had to cut holes in the wing.
Well, I had to cut holes, do fabric work.
I think that's one of
it
your
teaches
videos,
you.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a video that's
He's like,
like,
"Honey,
we had to
I gotta
cut a
cut
hole
holes
in the
in the
wing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
like,
it teaches
okay.
you, like, at first it's very frustrating, and then you kind of get to this centering point of like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's find somebody to help, and let's get some help and do it and learn about it.
One of the longtime audience members of this show is building a hats. 72 Papa. He's got an RV now, but he's building a hats. He says it's amazing what you can learn building an airplane, which is I think that's
It's
part of
like
the appeal
life
to me.
lessons. It really is life
Yeah.
lessons. And by the way, I have a set of hats classic plans.
There was like a moment of surprise in
She's
Juliet's
like-
face. She was like,
there she
and I'm out. Goodbye.
You jumped out. That's too bad.
Okay, I just want to show people. So like you've got, I want to show people more about what the type of flying you do in a Pete. But I also want to show people why I like immediately fell in love with you guys and your channel. This is a video you guys sent after a particularly long trip. This is like the after trip debrief. So let me play that right now.
Yeah.
Listen to the watch ticking.
What is that?
It's the official chronometer of the Pietenpol.
The chronometer.
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 Chronometer. And you know, from today's flight, we've earned this cup. And another. And another. We've earned wine in a paper cup at Super 8. Because we are so great aviators.
Thank you, Windham Rewards.
Windham.
Windham.
Jean-Claude Windham.
Windham Ham.
Windham ham. Windham.
Windham.
You can't spell Windham without ham.
You guys were remarking like, "Whoa, it looks so serious." I was gonna say like a bunch of bad aces.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
I like this. Yeah.
Steely-eyed.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be to fly. I mean, how long was that trip? Tell us a little bit about that trip.
That was your first long trip in the Pietenpol.
Yes.
Why don't you tell them about that trip?
Oh, Lord. How long is your show?
As long as we want it to be. There are no rules.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a cool story because we got invited from one of our flying buddies, Dustin, and he does a lot of like backcountry fly-ins, mainly with tail draggers, but there's a few other planes that come in too. But we'd never been out there. It's Amboy. It's right off the Route 66.
Not charted.
No. Yeah. And
I think it was about 3 hours in the Pietenpol from where we were.
Yeah.
With a fuel stop in there too.
We did a couple stops along the way. But the one downside of being in the Pete for extended periods of time is the what do they call it? The
butt buster.
The butt buster.
They weren't thinking of long-term comfort when they designed the seats.
Yeah.
So you can really tell in that hotel room video that we're feeling the day of flying there.
Mm-hmm.
I've wondered about that. Like,
and we didn't make it home. Oh,
that's right. That's when the one.
Oh yeah. I think that was the first video I saw of yours, and it was very like the clickbait title was amazing. We didn't make it home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're learning about this whole YouTube thing. Yeah, the flight planning department forgot what time sunset was. Mm-hmm. So luckily she had cell service. I'm saying, hey, there's an airport. Look and see if there's a hotel there. And she looked up on Google Maps and yeah, there's a hotel. I'm like, okay, we're gonna land there. I think
that is one of the other benefits of flying in the Pete because you can still get cell service. So
there's no lights or anything on the Pete, so we're not nightly.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Couple of things coming in. Jason says that this has to be the cutest couple on the internet.
Oh, now
Jason.
That's awesome. Despite me. Okay. I think this is the reason the cutest couple on the internet.
Vincent has a question for you guys. He wants to know, is building your airplane for any aviation enthusiast, or do you need to be more mechanically inclined?
Oh.
I think anyone can do it. That sounds super cliche, but I think it does. Like I discovered through this. Yeah, right. I've discovered through this process things I thought, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to weld. I don't know how to thread a piece of plain steel rod, or fabricate this part or whatever.
Yeah, I remember you used to just go on YouTube and
it's literally a lot of the learning happened on YouTube where it's like, okay, let me learn about this. So it's not, I don't think it has less to do with be like mechanically inclined, but it has to do more with like, okay, are you willing to just learn a new skill and work at it little by little until you accomplish the goal? Because that's really all it is.
Yeah, like, don't be worried that you can't weld. Just decide that you're going to learn how to weld.
Right, yeah.
Shift your frame of thinking on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, we had to build a new motor mount for this new motor, and I've never welded. And I still haven't, but I learned how to cut and fit the tubing. And I talked to a welder, and he came over and inspected my work. and said, okay, let's weld this. And he took it to his shop, and then we got it welded that way. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if you find a skill that's like, okay, this isn't even in my wheelhouse, I don't have the equipment, you can just find somebody who's willing to help you on it. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing we've found, whether it be with building or flying, in aviation, there's always people who are there to help you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you guys, I think, have found a really robust community. Like, it seems like, I don't know, in your videos, like, it seems like you've got, like, this big group of people, cool group.
It really does.
Everyone seems so cool in California.
I think everybody's cool everywhere at an airport.
Depends on what county. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I guess we're really getting down to it. But everybody's cool at an airport. And isn't that a shame that, like, just more people aren't just wandering into airports and meeting, you know, old-timer Joe with his Pietenpol in a hangar? Because the minute you walk up to them, they'll go, hey, come on in, check this out. Hey, you want to go for a ride? Hey, you want to do this? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how, and I know we haven't touched on the Cessna yet.
Yeah, I've got a clip of that. We can show it, but let's tease it out. What's the deal with the Cessna? Because that's another fun, cool thing.
2 years of building this Pietenpol, I started poking around and thinking, well, maybe maybe there's another airplane that's better for us. Mm-hmm. And I found this 46 Cessna 140, and we went to look at it, and it just turned out, no, we don't have the money for this. So, whatever. I'd met the owner. He and I continued talking. He used to play music. We had a lot of similar interests together. And so one day, a couple months later, he emails me and goes, hey, I've got to get this airplane flying again. I'm trying to sell it. How about you help me fund the annual on the airplane, and then you guys can fly it for expenses until I sell it. So
cool.
Yeah.
That ended up being 3 years of flying this airplane.
We are very fortunate.
And something we haven't really, have we announced it yet?
Well, kind of. I did it on social media, but not on YouTube.
So as of 3 weeks ago, it went to a new owner, so we had to say goodbye to it.
Yeah.
Which has been a bit of a stab in the gut, but
sweet silver bird.
Yeah. But we had the opportunity through the community of, like, we met this guy, and he's like, come, well, I'll help you out.
And
you
we call
help
him
me out.
Captain Bill.
Go Captain Bill. He's
Captain Bill?
Captain Bill of Canada Air.
His name is Captain Bill?
First name Captain, last name Bill.
That is amazing.
You really picked the right job.
I know, you kind of forced into it. Let me show a clip of this, because it is a beautiful bird, but also you guys, this is like you're like, you know, like Trent Palmer over here in this video with this thing.
Well, I don't know about that.
So what I love about this, we were just watching it together. A couple things. We were like, man, that airplane sounds good.
It does that one shot. I love that one shot.
It was like, yeah. Back when planes were planes.
Yeah.
The other thing that was, I should have turned the mics on. I mean, I would have warned you if I did, but I should have turned the mics on because the coolest thing happened is you guys were like reliving that trip as we were watching it. Like, that was like can you tell us about where that was and what you guys were doing?
Yeah, that was at Cinder Cone Dry Lake Bed. That was another event organized by our friend Dustin. And yeah, we went out there during a meteor shower.
Yeah.
And got to see the stars. Wasn't that awesome?
It was really cool. And we met a couple other people as well. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you go. You're the guests. I'm the one interrupting you.
Yeah, it was just another one of those events where you meet some new people flying into a place in the middle of nowhere. It's not necessarily, well, is it charted? No, it's not charted.
No. Yeah.
But
we camped out. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And we watched the meteor shower and yeah.
It was awesome.
I see that's I mean, I was joking about like some Trent Palmer stuff here, but like literally like this is I mean, I think for a lot of people, I mean, it's in vogue right now, right? But like
yeah, right.
For a lot of people, that's like the dream, right? Like I want to get in my plane that costs less than my car, fly to a dry lake bed and watch a meteor shower like that.
Yep.
Hashtag.
Yeah, and it's
like whatever, right? Like,
and you can go do that. That's the cool thing about aviation, and I think that's what more people need to see. Yeah, no, you can do it. I know
I could do it.
You could do.
Do we have it? I got a couple groups. I think. Can I land in a dry lake bed, Marty? In the chat, can I do that? Is that in the bylaws of the flying club? Is that allowed?
There's a line in there about permission and forgiveness that I'm recalling.
Right, something about that. Yeah. Well, now I've blown the.
We use that often.
Yeah. No, I know that is a limitation for a lot of people who are involved in a flying club or who are renting, is that it kind of prevents them from doing this kind of stuff. And that was part of our decision to try and build something or own something or find a way to do it, because it's like, here's the kind of flying we want to do. You know,
right?
Yeah.
We want to go on trips. We want to go land at a random dry lake bed. You know.
But on our last episode, we discovered, because we don't have an ADS-B on, well, we didn't have one.
We didn't have
the
it on the Cessna or the Pietenpol.
Cessna, so.
So it's also limiting in how we can travel with that. So.
Yeah.
But it leads you to certain types of adventure you might not otherwise be able to.
Who wants to go to downtown LA anyway?
Not me.
I mean, it's kind of cool to fly over downtown LA in a.
It is cool.
Okay, it is a little bit cool, but.
So.
Cool.
So Marty answered, "The plane can do it, but you can't, Ryan." So that's fair. Okay, I guess that's out for me. But then, now there's an argument about that. This is not good TV. The maintenance officer. Well, it's about to be. The maintenance officer says I'm in. He says maintenance says you can.
Oh, see.
So if he's down with it, maybe I just go for it.
That's where the real power lies, is maintenance.
We don't have wheel pants on it. It's gonna be fine.
I think everybody assumes you need to have 45-inch tires and, you know, $150,000 carbon cub. I mean, we see at these events in the desert, which is mostly our backcountry flying's in the desert, because there's not a lot of like grass strips around here, stuff like that. Yeah, it looks a lot like this in our background. But we see, nose wheel airplanes with standard 6-inch tires out there all the time. That shot was the 140 just has standard 6-inch tires. And
what was the one that Sonny owned? What was his plane? Do you remember?
That was a Piper Aero.
Oh yeah.
So retractable gear, low wing, trike gear, and he was going in there too. So it just comes down to knowing your equipment and knowing the area you're landing and being really proficient in the procedures and having that comfort level with it.
Well, and I think you mentioned the tires, but the other thing I wondered about is, as I like fantasy shop with some of these vintage aircraft, a lot of them are out in California or out in Washington or something, and I think, ooh, that's going to be, I mean, for like a Flatlander in Wisconsin, having like 65 horsepower or 85 horsepower and then like mountains, to me feels like, woo, I don't know. But that's like, I mean, you guys are clearly fine.
Yeah, with the And there's a lot of videos you'll see. Yeah, I mean, here we are in the middle of the air over the desert, and
right.
everything's fine. Yeah, it all comes down to the planning. You don't go out on a 115-degree day and try to climb up to a strip that's 8,000 feet in the mountains. But you kind of balance those conditions versus what you're equipped to be able to do.
We've had to abort a few trips based on the weather. So,
based on just performance indications, not even like, hailstorms and low ceilings. It was like, oh, we can't get in and out of there today.
See, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about your music for a second because is everything in the channel like you guys?
Pretty much. Generally, if you're hearing something orchestral or jazzy, it's me. I have a friend who does a lot of our like lo-fi sort of chill hop kind of music.
Yeah.
Because I'm not very good at that.
Shout out to Jason Fabus.
Jason Fabus from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin.
Yes.
Wait, he's from that's the Wauwatosa guy?
That's the Wauwatosa guy.
Okay, so separately, what we need to do is after this, you got to give me his contact info so I can hire him to like make music on like TV commercials and stuff. Maybe he already does that. I don't know. Well, this is separate. That's bad TV. It's bad TV. Okay. All right.
Yeah, bad TV. Bad TV. Hey, we'll have an inside
your people call my people.
So I think
that's all you.
That was part of the passion for me.
Yeah.
Because for her, and I'm kind of speaking for you here.
Oh, it's okay.
And she loves telling a visual story.
And you're super good at it.
She is really good at it.
Like the cinematography on your channel is like for instance, like in that Cessna 140 clip we just showed, like that's really, I mean, I was amazed by it.
It's getting better. I mean, it wasn't that great to begin with, but like in our, I think it's Big Bear lunch or something. I'm like, why am I sharing food? Like, this food looks awful. It's stale. Like,
everyone puts food in their videos.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's so relatable.
So it's like getting that perspective on it, though. Being able to see it from that point of view. And for me, it comes from the musical perspective of I'm a musician, so it's like I need to put some kind of inspiration behind this that matches, what I'm hearing or whatever. So it's just cool to be able to put that together.
I think the Amboy episode was one where I was really. Everyone should go watch it, and I'll put links after the show into the description to some of these. But like the Amboy episodes, like you were doing like spaghetti western stuff with it.
Yeah, I got this wild hair, and we were. And
I loved it so much.
We were just sitting there. I'm like,
yeah.
I think it needs to be over the top. It needs to be like a spaghetti western.
And whistling.
And with whistling and guitars.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The whole orchestra. And so part of that is because of COVID, myself and all my musician friends are just all set up at home to do these projects where we're like passing tracks back and forth and putting something together remotely. So it was like within a day and a half, we had this whole score put together. It was awesome.
That was like, for me, it was like, boom, subscribed. Like,
thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Like, I don't know, like separately, like I may have actually seen that around when and I can't pronounce his name, Inicio Marconi.
Oh yeah, Marconi,
like when he died, and it was like he died, and you guys like boom, like spaghetti western music, and I was like, oh, it's perfect.
I know. It was just it seemed like that being out in the desert, and like it's got to be something over the top,
Yeah.
So
we try to. I think that's the other thing. It's like we try to add little pieces of us. I mean, yes, it's great to fly and everything, but just having those little tidbits here and there.
And I think that's the thing that sometimes is missing from aviation. It's like there's great personalities.
Yeah.
Let the personality come through,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that it goes back to like, why are we doing it? Like, you're not like, a couple of weeks ago we had Thunderbird 3, like Major Brewer on, and he said something I think is really important. He was saying like, hey, like all of us pilots are professionals, right? Like once you're a pilot, you're a professional. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not. Like this is like, you're treating this like a job, because if you don't, you die, right? And there's a little bit of there's a little bit of hyperbole there, but also it's coming from a guy who's flying like a jet, like, 7 inches or 8 inches or whatever from another jet. So I totally agree with that, but also, like, that guy's still having fun, right? He's like, that's a serious message from a guy who's having a blast, right? Like, the whole point of all of this is to have fun, and I think you guys just totally exemplify that. So anyway,
I think it's sometimes hard to separate, like, oh, I'm having fun, and sometimes interpreting that like, oh, we're not being serious or we're not being safe, which is, you can totally separate those. You can be safe and you can have fun.
Experimental Aircraft Channel is saying something.
We love his channel. Hi, Experimental Aircraft
They
Channel.
love your channel. He's going to be on next week, so you guys should tune in.
Awesome.
He says, I'll have to follow this couple and catch up on their adventures. I love the Pete, but he spelled it Pete. Do you guys spell it Pete like the name, or do you?
It's Piet because it's Bernard Pietenpol was the guy who designed.
Is that like kosher to call it Pete, like Pete the name, or is he committing like a big faux pas that he should know better as the Experimental Aircraft Channel?
I don't judge.
That's
Technically, ours isn't a full-blooded Pietenpol, so we get a lot of flack for that. So
I saw the episode about that, and I respect your commitment to the truth.
Yes. We've had a few old timers. That's not a Pietenpol.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
It's just so much easier to not have to.
Everybody.
To
Everybody walks up and goes, "Oh, Pietenpol." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Pietenpol. You're right."
I mean, close
you can
enough.
spell it any way you want.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oops."
Oh no.
So before we're almost out of time, and we wrap up the show every week with a little game that we play called Short Final. But before we do, I just want to ask you guys, like, what's next for you? Like, where is this adventure taking you next?
Yeah, we were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
Because, so we don't have the Cessna anymore as of a couple of weeks ago. And that's always been our out, is like our traveling plane. You can put both of us and some baggage in it. You can go 100 miles an hour and get somewhere. And now we have the Pietenpol, which gets the two of us and a toothbrush, and you go 80 miles an hour. So I think our next challenge is really exploring, okay, so what is the paradigm of like taking trips in the Pietenpol, like long form adventures with it? Now that it's really up and running to the way that we want it to be.
So we're thinking about like, how could we build something that could probably go on the struts, like little pods.
Baggage pods or something.
Use.
And so that journey I think will be fun to document, because people look at the Pietenpol and they go, you can't go anywhere in that. You can't go anywhere in that. And so I kind of think like, okay, challenge accepted. Let's
try this.
Let's go somewhere in it.
Yeah.
I'd buy a Pietenpol, but I can't go anywhere in it. So I have to buy a more expensive airplane. It's like, well, maybe you can go somewhere in a Pietenpol. Let's find out.
Can I ask a question? And this is tied to going, like, Juliet, you look super comfortable in that front cockpit, but I'm pretty sure there's no way I could get into it. Is this like the cliche question to ask Pietenpol drivers? Like, how do you get, like, is it, how?
Well, you're awesome at it.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that I am a former dancer, but I'm short too, so that helps.
So only dancers in the front cockpit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out.
I had someone the largest person I had was 6'4", 215 pounds in the front pit, and his head was sticking up into the wing like this. And I was thinking, yeah, we're gonna have to height limit this. Like if this was an emergency and he had to bail out of there, it's like I don't think this. But
he managed to get in, which
yeah,
was great.
But he got in. It's just it's a puzzle, you know.
There's
ways we could bend you.
Yeah.
Like what's that? Like in Willy Wonka when they the taffy machine.
Yeah, yoga with Tango and Juliet.
Shoehorn.
Shoehorn. Yeah, perfect.
And some Vaseline.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Family podcast.
Yeah, and done. 72 Papa also says, it's a good thing, you guys got to come to Broadhead in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Cool.
Broadhead is the home of the Pietenpol. And we received invitations from our online Pietenpol friends. And in a perfect world, I actually want to fly our plane out there from California. And we have another friend in the Mojave area who also has a Pietenpol and also has that desire.
That could be our next adventure.
That could be.
Oshkosh 2021.
Oshkosh 2021 with a stop at Broadhead.
Yeah.
We need to leave now so that we'll get there in time. So let's go. No.
She's like, and scene. The truth is that once you get to Broadhead, you're basically at Oshkosh.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I've flown biplanes out of Broadhead, and it's a beautiful airport. And also, there's a pretty decent Subway sandwich shop. Like,
I'm in. I'm so in. In the next episode, we have a Subway well, not Subway, but a hoagie is featured with the Pietenpol.
Well, that's better than, I think Broadhead has, as far as my experience with Broadhead, it's literally been like a 13 or 14-year-old sandwich artist tessellating my cheese, and
Nice.
See, there you go.
That's the best, but it's worth it because
some people fly to the Bahamas and we take hoagies in our Pietenpol. So that's coming up. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you have any other questions for Tango and Juliet, throw them in the chat. We're gonna play short final. What button? There we go. Short final.
So ready.
Okay. You ready? All right.
Yes.
So let me get all my ducks in a row here. Where we go? Got this one.
Hop in there. If you hear anything you want to answer, just shout it.
Okay.
No, both of you got answers. Okay.
Both.
If the Pietenpol was a jazz instrument, what instrument would it be?
Trumpet.
Kazoo.
Okay. I love it. What's the favorite airport you've ever landed at together?
Probably Cinder Cone for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clip you showed.
Oh, yeah, that's dope. Okay, what about, you just said hoagies. I was going to ask, what's your favorite in-flight snack?
Bubble gum.
Really?
What's your favorite in-flight snack?
I was going to say something like Reese's Pieces or
Reese's
something.
Pieces. Oh, that's a
There
good
you
one,
go.
too.
What?
Not spicy tacos.
Not spicy tacos, yeah.
I saw that. Have you ever been scared in an airplane before?
You go first.
No.
No?
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but
I've been terrified, so
maintain
it's a safe space.
I think I have been scared in an airplane, yes. I'll say that. Once during training, I had one of my very early solo pattern flights. The airplane I was flying decided to stop being a functioning airplane for a few seconds, and then it came back to life.
That'll do it.
Puts the fear of God into you. Let me tell you something.
Oh, that one time the door flew off.
Oh, the door came off. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Like came off? I think I saw that, but I didn't.
The top hinge came undone. And the door goes clunk, and she goes, "The door is coming off," and she's holding on to it. And I go, "No, the door is not coming off. What are you talking about?" She's like, "It's coming off," and she goes like this, and I'm like, "Oh, the door's coming off. It seems like the door's coming off." So
I'm like holding. I'm like, shouldn't we be landing?
And I'm like, we don't need doors. Come on, but
just push it hard enough that it clears the aircraft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's good.
I think that was.
That's legitimately scary. A couple people. Marty said, by the way, your favorite in-flight snack might be bugs. You've never heard that one before.
Oh man, delicious. I think it's a good protein source.
So, anyway, this has been so good, you guys. This has been so fun to get to know you guys. I literally think, what Jason said before, like, cutest couple aviation YouTube. Aww. Where's the trophy? Let's throw it up.
Let's get that notarized.
Yeah, well, dude, you can. I'll send you the clip. You can clip it and just play it for people when at parties or something.
Excellent.
I don't know.
I like it.
Okay. I should probably wrap this up. Okay, so thank you so much to Tango and Juliet coming at us, by the way, live from like Legoland. or something.
Oh my gosh, we're
Yeah.
we're like the sole occupants of a closed hotel, which is a very long story. But I was saying earlier, I think this is how most horror stories start. So,
Well, thank you
very
for
weird.
You can tell that in the after show because you're going to come over to the Zoom chat for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Nice.
So patrons, you guys want to hang out with Tango and Juliet for a little bit, come on over. Otherwise, dudes, this has been so fun to talk to, like my kind of favorite secret YouTube channel that you got to, everyone who sees this, go subscribe to their channel. You won't be disappointed. It's funny. There's adventures. There's cool vintage airplanes. There's Trent Palmer esque desert landings. It's got everything, including spicy tacos and hoagies and stuff. Let's see what. Oh, I got to talk about what's next. So next week, Experimental Aircraft Channel. We're going to talk this weekend. What we're going to talk about. Maybe he will also try to convince me to build an airplane. My wife's going to be super pleased about that. And then the week after that will be the Builders Roundtable for home building. And that week also, I'm excited to announce I'm going to actually be in Lakeland, Florida. Probably getting COVID, but also announcing, being one of the two announcers for the National Stole competition that's happening there in Lakeland. I'm super pumped. I'm honored to be a part of that crew. It's going to be really cool. So if you're in Lakeland, come check that out, or making a trip to Florida, come check that out. It's like a real air show, too. There's going to be like jet teams and stuff. So you'll find me there, finally busting out. I'm busting out of here. Can't keep me down. Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks so much for watching tonight. We'll see you next week. I gotta come up with like some sort of keep the shiny side up and the pointy side forward. I don't know. How would we not figure that out by now?